On the 15th of August 1946, Jinnah gave the signal and Calcutta was put to the torch. 5,000 died and 20,000 were injured. In retaliation, the Hindus massacred Muslims. Reprisal followed reprisal across the entire north of India. The butchery spared neither women nor children. On the Hindu side were many extremists who deplored the fact that their religion, led by a hierarchical clergy, wasn't pugnacious enough. Hindu tolerance was for them an inexcusable weakness which had, for centuries, allowed first the Mughals and then the British to enslave the Hindu multitudes. Now, the Hindu nation must assert itself. Its men had to rediscover their virility.
The idea was to beef up the Hindus morally as well as physically. Militants gathered in each town and village where there was a branch of their movement. Morning and evening they held lessons in religious ideology and physical training, with the objective of doing battle with Muslims who were enemies in the midst.
Hindu nationalists hunted down Muslims. Extremists of the Muslim League tore the Hindus to pieces. Gandhi was horrified. He went on hunger strike in Calcutta, refusing to eat while blood was being spilt. He refused to abandon his dream of an India where the two communities could live together in friendship.
And Gandhi was watching all this. He was doing his best. He went to East Bengal. He walked around the villages where the Muslims had massacred the Hindu landlords. And he talked to the Muslims. He really put his life on the line. He went without any protection, just a few of his followers walking on foot. And he managed to persuade the Muslims there that it was not right to do this.
As he walked, people would throw glass pieces on the way. They would throw excreta in his path. And his answer to that was to even remove the very simple sandals which he used to wear in order to walk and start walking barefoot. This had a tremendous moral impact, and the parallel that we like to draw is between, in the Christian tradition, the crucifixion of Christ, that is suffering for humanity, tormenting the flesh in order to make the moral appeal.
And then there is other retaliation by Muslims in East Bengal, where they're in the majority. They turn on Hindus and attack them, massacre many. Then Hindus in Bihar turn on the Muslims, and again they do the same in UP. And then in the Punjab, we see the Muslims retaliating by attacking the Sikhs and killing a lot of Sikhs in March 1947. So the whole thing is blowing up in a way that's becoming really completely uncontrollable.
In January 1947, Lord Louis Mountbatten, the great-grandson of Queen Victoria, arrived in Delhi. He would be the last Viceroy of India because he had come to dismantle the empire. He wanted to do this as speedily as possible, and with Nehru and Jinnah set about partitioning India.
Gandhiji said again and again, leave India to anarchy, but don't partition it. We will sort it out. Once you are gone, then we will see how to do it. But the British said, we will go only after you decide who should get what. And that is how partition became absolutely inevitable. So Gandhiji went to the extent of saying that partition could only take place on his dead body.
And then, of course, the Congress leaders decided that they would accept the demand for partition. They felt that Jinnah was able to stir up so much trouble for them that if they didn't concede that demand for a separate nation state of Pakistan, then he would cause terrible disruption within India after independence, and perhaps compromise the integrity of the new Indian nation state. It would perhaps collapse.
A commission, led by Lord Radcliffe, mapped out the frontiers of the future states of India and Pakistan. 2 Hindus and 2 Muslims helped him because he knew nothing of India. That's why he'd been chosen, so as to be perfectly objective. The Muslims wished to create two separate Islamic states in the north, where most of their people lived. East and West Pakistan were 2,000 kilometers from each other. The main problems were in Bengal and the Punjab, where the frontiers were impossible to line. The Hindu and Muslim communities were totally intermixed. On the 15th of August 1947, India and Pakistan were finally split from each other, to the great happiness of Lord and Lady Mountbatten. Recorded for history, the emotional voice of Pandit Nehru, who would become the first Prime Minister of independent India.
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
But the morning after the independence festivities, the Hindus who found themselves in Muslim Pakistan and the Muslims in Hindu India fled from their villages in search of safety. Muslims took the road to Pakistan and Hindus to India, each to the shelter of their own religious communities. Two great movements of people in opposite directions. The greatest exodus in human memory. 10 million refugees who would be ambushed by robbers and armed militants. 1 million people were massacred. Nobody was prepared to assume responsibility for the tragedy, but the Hindu nationalists branded Gandhi as the guilty one for having agreed to the partition of the country. Today in Delhi, at the headquarters of the Hindu National Party, Hindu Mahasabha, the great assembly of Hindus, its president still maintains that only his organization had defended the integrity of India.
Akhil Bharat Hindu Mahasabha was the only organization in India which advocated with full courage and expressions that we shall never tolerate division of India. We want united India, one India.
So although the Hindu nationalists claimed that this was a vivisection of India and it was something that the Congress had betrayed the Indian people in agreeing to, in fact it was very much a part of their own program to have a separate state, and it's always served their interests subsequently to have a separate Pakistan state, which is always in antagonism to India, as always a representation really of India's other, its opponent.
Several months after their independence, the two brother-enemy states went to war for the first time over the disputed region of Kashmir. The population of this province was Muslim, but the Maharaja and his forces were Hindu. Both India and Pakistan claimed this Himalayan region as its own. Today, after 3 such wars, Kashmir remains the main point of discord between India and Pakistan.